All right. I think we got through all of the vocabulary last time, did we not?
You actually made it to the vocabulary, if I saw the video correctly.
Okay, just got to the vocabulary. All right. We have relatives up here, and we went through them. And these are some that are a little bit different, and they're not the standard ones. This is qualitative, this one here, and this is quantitative. How many and what sort, what kind. Right, so we went through those. Let's look at our vocabulary then. Section 245, the antithemy. And so it's a compound word, dia, antithemy. Those two words put together, compounded to make a new word. Antithemy is the set, set or place. And this is to arrange. And it's to make a covenant, to arrange or make a covenant. And it forms the noun. You see the dia and the noun form of tithemy up here. And that is a covenant itself. Now, let me point out there's two kinds of covenants. Only one of the, in Greek, then only one of these there's only one of these in the New Testament. And we'll talk about them just briefly here. And we'll come back to it later, but syntheke. Syntheke and diatheke. Notice the theke at the end and soon, dia and soon. This syntheke is not in the New Testament, but is the covenant between equals. So it's between equal parties. And you can haggle over the terms. You may want to sell me your house or your car or something you wanted to sell, and you and I'll haggle or barter over it. So we're on equal terms. We're equal. You have something I want, and I'm going to pay you for it, and we'll haggle or barter over the terms. So that's a syntheke covenant. This is something between equal parties, those who are equals. And the diatheke is between two that are not equal. It is a covenant between one who has plenary or full power, and the other one has to take it or leave it. So the one that's in full power, he determines the terms of the covenant. Does that make sense now? And this could be used for a will or a testament, like your last will and testament. And of course, the writer of the will determines the terms of the covenant. And so it would begin to be used for that, but it's a covenant where one party determines all the terms, and there's no haggling or bartering over the terms. So it's a diatheke covenant. And so right here, this is our covenant with God, is this kind of covenant. Diatheke. God determines all the terms of the covenant. Any questions or comments? Okay. I permit or allow, or I suffer. To suffer is to permit something to occur. Eulogia, and it's compound word again. Logia, and that's a saying or something that's said. And EU is epsilon. Epsilon is something that is good. We can have a eulogy, a blessing, say, eulogia, and that comes into eulogy in English. So you're saying something good about someone, okay? And epeson, aorist or pipto, this is aorist. So it's kind of an irregular form. And so it's pipto, not fall. And he fell or it fell, he, she, or it fell, okay? And hoios, now notice that's a diphthong, hoios, and this is an adjective, and so it has not, this is nominative singular masculine form. Drop the O's and put an off, and it becomes feminine. Drop the O's puts on, it becomes neuter. And that would be the nominative form, nominative singular masculine, put the off and feminine on to make it nominative singular neuter. What kind or such as, it's a relative pronoun. Not unlike our relative pronouns we're covering here, it's just a different kind of relative. Answering to what kind is or such as. We have our relative pronouns, that's the main thrust here. Hos, hey, ho. And again, you can easily mix this one up. This is masculine, feminine, neuter. And it's real easy to confuse this neuter if you drop the second accent mark. That's called an acute, A-C-U-T-E, accent mark. It's easy to drop it off and confuse it with the nominative singular masculine article. So if you're not careful, you got to watch that. And osos, this is another relative pronoun, special one. And then it could be the os becomes an eta. This is masculine, feminine, and neuter form. Drop the os, put an eta, and you have Jose, and have an eta right here. That would make it feminine, nominative singular. And on, but the os, and put on in the place of it, and that'll be nominative singular, neuter. How many? It's asking a question about how many, as many as. Plain. That's except. Notice it only has one vowel, so plain, it's a single syllable. Potarion. Potarion. That's a cup. And of course, that's on, eon, o, and to. So this is a noun because this is your genitive ending here for it, and there's your article. So it is a neuter. It's neuter because we got the neuter article. Any questions so far? Klao.
Question, if you don't mind.
Let's go ahead.
So on hosos, it says how much, how many, relative pronoun, and then it says as many as. After that?
It could, yes, it could be as many as, depending on the structure of the sentence. So it's a relative pronoun of how many, and it could be as many as. So it carries some broad usage. It has several different ways it can be used. Yeah. Does that help, or did I confuse you?
That's fine, thank you.
All right. And notice the eon ending is a small ending, neuter. This is a neuter, but it's a diminutive, and the diminutive ending. So I'll write the word diminutive there, so you know. I think that's right. Diminutive ending. That's that eon ending right up here. That's diminutive ending. All right. Okay, let's go back up here. Klao, I break bread. See, it's used for that. Koinonia, and that's communion or fellowship. It's used for the communion or the fellowship. It's also called the Lord's Supper. And it's used for any fellowship or joining together in a common purpose. See, loipos, 2 syllables, diphthong, loipos. And again, it's another adjective because the os, a, and on is just a nominative singular masculine, nominative singular feminine, nominative singular neuter endings. Those are neuter and feminine endings. And drop the os and put those on. Remaining or the rest, the remainder, the remaining ones. Satana, satanan. Satanan. Satanan is, I think it actually started out as a Hebrew word, but I can't remember. But it's an adversary. You know, it's listed as Satan, but it's an adversary. He's an adversary. Say my, no. say, no, notice three syllables, Ada, I, say Mao, say Mao, say Mano, I'm sorry, say Mano, and that's a signify. I think this word is used in Revelation 1, verses 1 and 2. I think it's the word that's used, if my memory is right, to signify or express something in signs. Okay. Hyper, and our prefix hyper in English, Hyper, the epsilon becomes a U, and so a Y rather, epsilon becomes a Y, and the rough beings an H, Hyper, hyper. Goes with the accusative case, meaning over, with the genitive means for. So again, you got to look at it back in our, when we introduced prepositions, we said some of them can go with more than one case. Phronimos, and this is the own ending. This is an adjective. Now, why doesn't it have a feminine form? Well, it doesn't, because the masculine form, os ending, can be either feminine or masculine. And so it has the same form in the feminine and masculine ending here, nominative singular. Now your other numbers, your other cases will be different endings, because you'll have in the accusative case singular, for example, you'll have an on ending, omicron nu, and you'll have a different ending for the feminine. And so how would you know? You'd have to look at the context. It might have an article with it too. If it has an article, that article would be either feminine or masculine, or it could be neuter if it had this ending on it. That's wise or intelligent, but it's not the kind of wisdom you'd have if you had Sophia. If you had this, that happens to be the name of the capital, I think, Sophia. Let me think. I think it's Sofia, maybe Hungary. I'm not sure. But it doesn't matter. There's one of those countries over there in Europe that has Sofia as their capital. This is the word for wisdom, another word for wisdom. This Sophia is a wisdom that always does good. So it's a wisdom to do what is good, always. So it doesn't carry any evil meaning, or evil connotations. But phronimos is sophisticated, we might say sophisticated. And it could be worldly wise as well as wise in a good sense. It's going to be wise to do what works. And of course, God's will, if you follow his will, it works. But sometimes you can do evil and it'll work out and get what you wanted. So this could be either good or evil, say. Nuo is nod, about to go to sleep. And sometimes I look out over the audience when I'm preaching and I see some people nodding. And so I wonder, did I put them to sleep? So they recorded my sermon to play it for their children. That's a bad joke, okay? So they could go to bed at night. Any questions? I didn't like my joke. It was not very good anyhow, okay? Okay. Now we have here, and we have the verses that are found here. You could kind of cheat on this, and I believe there was a tile missing right here in yours right here. Chris too. I think that was where it was. Can't remember. I think it was here. Chris too, right there. I'm pretty sure it was. So look at yours. You may not have a tile in it, but I inserted it. This is from 1 Corinthians 10:13. This is 1 Corinthians 10:15 to 16. Now then, there may be a textual variant somewhere in this. If there is, he will go with the compiled text rather than what I use. Okay, so we won't worry about that. We'll translate this and go with it. Okay. All right, did everyone get into this, or do you want to try this for next week and let me go into the next lesson? Did you get it translated, Benjamin? Did you and
Yes, sir.
translated?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
A question.
Yes.
Koinonia. That's not correct, is it?
Koinonia.
Yeah, it's Koe. Got a Omicron in the middle there instead of Omega.
Right there.
So the next, at the first of the sentence. Go all the way back to the first of the sentence.
You got it. So
Okay.
yeah, that's definitely a misspell. And I didn't notice that. So it's an omega, isn't it? What you were correcting? Is that what you were saying?
Yes, sir.
I see right there. Thank you for pointing that out.
Thanks.
All right. Okay. We're getting this book corrected. If I teach it 4 or 5 more times and I'm 120 years old, we'll finally get it right. Okay.
We just hope we're there too.
Okay. All right. It'll be 40 years from now if that happens. Okay. All right. Let's start here. And Benjamin, can you do 1 Corinthians 10:13, just the whole verse?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Pistos de hotheos hos uk ease humas perasthenai huper ha dunaste. And I said, but God faithful or is faithful, who will not allow y'all to be tempted over or beyond what y'all are able.
Okay. Beyond what you have the power, the ability to resist. Okay. All right. Anybody want to add something to it? All right. Now we have 2 negatives. Ook. This, of course, is kappa because why does it have the kappa there?
The next
followed by
word starts with
Starts with a vowel.
oh,
You would put that diphthong with that vowel. You wouldn't say a apple, you say an apple. So you put an N on it in English. An apple, see, because it doesn't sound good. A apple doesn't sound good. So the kappa there is put there because make it sound good. Okay. That makes sense? Any question? All right. Now we don't have to have one here because we have that H sound for the rough breathing. Kind of breaks it up here. Also over here. And so we don't need it there because of the rough breathing sound of the hooper and humas. That's why we don't need it there. Any questions? All right. Let me do this. Bobby, can you take it down to right there? And yeah, take it down to there, if you will, from the beginning of the sentence. All that right there, if you will. Okay. Hey, Bobby, are you still there?
I forget to cut the microphone on. Horace, phronimos lego krenete humas ho me. I speak as a wise man, judge what I speak as a wise man, you judge what I say.
All right. I speak. Phronimos is this idea of being wise,
Right.
So I speak as a wise man, and judge you. Okay, you judge what I say. Pay me. Is that how you said? It's a commandment to judge. You
Yeah, I speak as a wise man. You judge what I say.
judge what I say. Okay, I think that's pretty good. All right.
On the first part, I said speak as to wise ones or to wise people. Is that not right?
It is a dative instrument form, and so it could be I speak by two wise men. Yeah, probably that would probably be better. Okay, that makes it make more sense there. What do you think there, Bobby? It is dative case.
As two wise men. I speak as to a wise man. What you said, Benjamin?
That's I think
I
it's
speak as to
plural.
a.
As to wise ones.
As two wise ones. As two wise.
A wise one.
To those that are wise. To the wise.
Those that are wise, yeah.
It would be men, wouldn't it? In it plural.
You could put men in there because it's masculine gender. Probably, but it probably should be in italics. Okay.
Well, that's what I did. I had men, wise men. I speak as wise men.
But the
That-
ads would fit probably an accusative case better than the dative instrumental locative. Okay. Two wise men are by means of wise men, which won't fit into the context of the verse.
it's yeah.
In wise men, and again, in them, that won't fit pretty very much either. I think two wise men must be because it is dative instrumental locative form with the ending of the OS ending. Okay. Does that help a bit?
Yes, sir.
All right. And so, why doesn't the FAME have a diacritical mark? Why doesn't it have a mark on it? Accent mark. That's interesting. So it doesn't because this is not an article here. This actually functions here. Those two butt together. It becomes enclitic and butts up against it. Hofemi. Probably it would be pronounced Hofemi. Then put in a break between the two, most likely. Right? Just some of the rules of accent. Okay, James, I want to
Sure.
pick on you, if you will. Let's just take that, leave the rest of it. Next one for Benjamin, okay? Right.
Okay. Ho poterion tes eulogias ho eulogumen. And I translated that as the cup of blessing which we bless.
Okay. So which is a good rendering of it, which we bless. Anybody want to add anything to it? Cup of the blessed.
Can it also be that we bless?
It could be which or that, either one will work. Which is not used very much in modern English. It is used in the King James quite a lot, however. But usually we reserve which for when we're asking the question, which one did this? So what the old King James English would have had it which, probably does have it which. Okay. And the modern English has begun to use which more like in a question. It's lost kind of some of its usage that it had back in the 18th century. Okay, whenever The King James Version was revised. It was first put out in 1611, but then it was revised between 1760 and 1769 because the English language was changed. Several letters were taken out of the language and some new letters were put in. The J was put in. What we know as the V had functioned as the U and a V both before. And so they separated out and added a U and a V. So we had two separate letters. Ampersand was taken out and the horn was taken out. It kind of looked like an animal horn. It looked a lot like a Y, pretty much like a Y. And it's a TH sound. It's like a theta. That was taken out of the language. So the word which began to be used differently after that. Okay, any question? All right. Now then, let's see here. Bobby, can you go down? Go down to Eston, down to here, if you will.
Me?
Yes, if you will, please.
Okay. Uki koinonia to a matas to Chris to Eston. I put, let me get over where it's at. We are giving thanks. Is it not the communion of the blood of the Christ or of Christ? Put the D there. Question mark.
Okay, I want you to catch something here, fellas. This I want to get out of his file here in just a minute here. I want you to notice that uki is just a stronger form of u. We have uk over here. All right. And so that's just u. And so that is important. That is significant. So what I want you to do now, we're going to get out of this file and we're going to go into another file, a file that you have. So I'm going to come out of it. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to start sharing. I'm going to go to Greek Lexicon and Grammar Notes. That's a file that I had sent you, already set up for the right page. So right there it is. Now, can you see page 228?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I do.
Here's in that Greek Grammar Lexicon and Grammar Notes file that I've made for you. I have quotes from 3 different sources, and there are other sources that say the same thing. U or uki. See, we have an uki here. That's what we have. U or uki is used in a question. Its use always implies that the expected answer is what?
Yes.
It's a rhetorical question. That's Dana and Mandy. That's intermediate grammar. Porter says a question expecting a positive answer normally is negated by u. Perschbacher says u sometimes functions as an interrogative with an expectation or anticipation of an affirmative answer. Well, they've said it in several different ways, but answer yes, answers positive answer, or an affirmative answer. They said it 3 different ways. So we have u or ook. Notice Dan and Maddie said uki, just a heightened form of u. And so that question, we have it twice, uki or ook. And so that's meaning they're expecting a what kind of answer? And everyone see that it's a yes answer. I want to digress just one little point here. What if you had, notice the u that just has a smooth breathing on it. What if you had u with a diacritical mark and acute on it too? All right. You had that. Well, that, according to Perschbacher, means no. Notice it's bold print. It's emphatic. It's an emphatic no. Right? And it does occur a few times in the New Testament. Okay. All right. Are there questions about this? So we're going to go back, stop sharing again, start sharing, go back to our Greek Robert's grammar, share again, go back to Robert's grammar. Are we back to the regular file now, page 240, section 246?
Yes, sir.
So right here, then we have a key. And so let's try to reword that now with a question with an affirmative answer. The communion of the blood of Christ, it is. So that's, but it needs to be framed in the frame of affirmative question. Okay, it is the communion of the blood of the Christ, of the Messiah, isn't it? That's how we'd word it. And probably the New American Standard may actually word it that way in its translation. I haven't checked that out, but it might do that. I think there are several translations, modern translations that do that. And this is where they get it. That's where they get that as a rhetorical question, expecting a yes answer. It is the communion of the blood of Christ, is it not? Or isn't it? See, we could say that. Any question?
Yeah, does uki itself carry the meaning of the word is, or do you have to combine it with esteem?
Esteem is
done
it.
here.
Esteem is and he wants you to take the question and frame it into a question that's expecting a yes answer. Now, how do we do that in English? We say,
Is it not?
is it not, is how we would probably say it. Or we could say, isn't it? But that's just abbreviated contraction for is it not? Okay, right? So that's how we'd word it. Maybe I haven't checked the numerics, so I'm not going to get up my copy of it right now and look it up. But you might look at it. This is in 1 Corinthians 10. You might see that there. I know in 1 Corinthians 12, it does have the rhetorical questions, and we have them again in 1 Corinthians 12, 28 and following. All are not apostles, are they? All are not prophets, are they? And that's a good translation of it in 1 Corinthians 12, 28 and following. All right, let's look at the next one now. Let's do it. And also it has an ook in it. All right, so it has the same setup. And who read last? Did Bobby read last? Remember?
Yes, sir, I read last.
Okay. James, could you do this for us?
Yes, sir. Ton arton, ton plomen, uk koinonia, tu somatos, tu Christu estin. The bread which we break, is it not a fellowship of the body of Christ?
And you already have this, and you ought to put it is or not. See, it's a good translation. I like that. The bread which we break, is it not a communion? See, it is, isn't it? See, we could say it that way. It's expecting a yes answer. So he's actually affirming that it is a communion of the body of Christ. And the Christ would be the Messiah to a Jew, okay? That's the equivalent expression. That help? I don't know if I have whether the New American Standard actually renders it that way, but it certainly might. And I almost expect it to, but I can't remember. I hadn't looked at that verse in those various translations. Some of the other, there are some other translations that do it that way too. Okay, some of the modern speech ones. All right, any questions? Okay. Now, we've got maybe enough time to finish the next one. I know I took time to get off on this, but I thought you needed to see that. So this you could see the emphasis of it. Okay. So let's go down to where the cursor is. You see what I highlighted. We're back to Benjamin, if you would, Benjamin, please.
Humin de lego tois loipois tois en thuaterois. But to y'all I say, to the rest in Thyatira.
Okay. But to you, I say to y'all. That's good Southern English. I like it. Of course, in the South, y'all are singular. All y'all is plural. Okay, that's a joke. Another joke, too. All right, bad joke.
I like to be literal and differentiated from the third person plural.
So,
And remember this, and it's useful to a congregation if they realize that you, he, in the King James and American Standard versions, both Old and New Testament are plural. Thee, thou, and thine are singular.
so,
And even if they don't use, if they use, say, the New King James Version or some other version, you, your, and ye are plural. You can prove ye is plural with the Standard Dictionary. Ye is plural. But you and your in the King James, they're plural always. All three of those are. And thine would be singular, second person. That help?
Yeah, it's been the source of a lot of misunderstanding.
Yeah.
That your body's temple of the Holy Spirit.
That's a fact. It certainly has been. Right? But you take your modern speech translation, they don't follow that. They don't they don't distinguish it. They outside of the different cases in English. Okay. Okay. Any more questions or comments? All right. Let's take the next one. And I think who did this last one? Benjamin, Bobby, we're back to you.
Okay. Hosoi ukusentain didakting tauting didakting tauting.
Okay.
I think I got it right. Okay, I have as many as not they have the teaching, this teaching. As many as they have not the teaching.
Okay. It could be pretty much underneath as many as do not have this teaching, right?
As many as they have not the teaching.
It's probably real little. The King James American Standard is real little. Sometimes it reads awkwardly, but it reads like the Greek. A lot of times they just put it in the same order of the words the Greek does. But I preach for what I call a King Standard. I take the American Standard, but if there's a textual difference, I go with the King James. Right? All right, I think that's pretty good. Anybody want to add anything to that? I need to quit saying that's good before I ask you to add to it. So, all right, let's see. I think we're back if we can. Come down to the period, if you would, James, if you would there.
Okay. Hoi uk ignosan ta batha tu satana hos legusin. And I translated that, who did not know the deep things of Satan, as they say.
See, this is not an article, say. So that's why he translated who. Both of you see that? You can catch that if you're not careful, thinking it's the article, but see the accent mark. Who do not know the deep things. See, bathos is deep. A bathysphere is a sphere that goes deep into the water, see? And so that's BATH, I think it's OSPHERE, but it's spherical chamber that they lower down deep into the ocean. Satan, I think, is, of course, we know that's the devil, but as I said earlier, I think that comes from the Hebrew, okay, as they say. So they're saying, you know the deep things of Satan. Well, you don't know the deep things. You haven't experienced these deep things. This is knowledge based upon experience. We can look at that if we have time in OSCO, okay? All right, let's try to finish the rest of it. See, I think we're back to Benjamin. Benjamin, we leaned on you pretty heavy. You got started and finished. Okay, you do that for us?
All right. U balo efumas alo baros plain ho ekete. I do not cast or place on y'all any more burden except what y'all have.
And so we have two words for burden, and they're both laid out for us in the 6th chapter of Galatians, verses 1 through about 4. And this is one of those words. So I'm not going to put a heavier burden on you, say, than what you already have. And of course, this is not an article again. This is your pronoun. Okay. And he says there's some textual variance. The book of Revelation has more textual variance in it than some of the other books. Okay. Right. Any question? Many years ago, I thought, I didn't ever express it. I wondered if the book of Revelation wasn't originally written in Hebrew and it was translated into Greek. And I gave that idea up. I don't think it was. But I think it was, it did address the Jews to a certain extent, at least. Okay. Any questions?
Would you mind if we look at 9 and 10 of B real quick?
No, no problem. Okay. So what do you got there?
Well, I wasn't sure on them. That's why I'm asking. But I said the ruler stood with him to speak, and Paul answered. I wasn't sure.
This is
And Asuse,
stood with him to speak, and Paul replied. Is this stood right here?
yeah, that's what I wasn't sure about.
Let's go back up. I think it might be in our vocabulary.
I didn't see it in there.
That word's not in my vocabulary. I'm going to have to look it up. I'm sorry. Okay, I apologize.
No problem. Can we look at number 10 then, if you don't mind?
Okay, go ahead.
I said the foolish will fall while wise rulers judge the prudent.
Okay, see, this is in the time of the, okay, and the prudent shall judge the prudent shall, I'm sorry, the sophronos. This is the person who is, trying to think of the word. He's sober-minded. Will judge the prudent. He's going to judge the prudent. Okay. So fall in the time of the.
Oh, so is the idea that the sober-minded, so to speak, rulers will be lifted up, while the foolish will fall. They'll be able to judge
Yeah.
over others, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Sober-minded people are going to be. I think we will judge the world in a sense. Not that we'll stand up and be the judges, but our actions, I think, our sober-minded actions will stand as testimony that it was possible to live the way God wanted us to live. So I think there's a sense in which we'll judge the world, but I don't think it's like some people think, okay? That help?
Okay.
Could
Thank
you
you.
move up to the vocabulary one more time? I was
You
looking at the word on the bottom right, nuo.
You think it's new?
Yeah, is it possible that is the ruler nodded to him to speak and Paul answered?
I think it probably is because it fits in this context. And that would be nodded. That would make it aorist tense, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would. I just wonder.
That's what it is. I really do. And nodded to him. The ruler nodded to him and to speak, and Paul replied. He answered. I think that's it. It makes perfectly good sense now. The ruler nodded to him and to speak, and Paul answered.
I must wonder if that first sigma is there. I'm just thinking from a conjugation perspective. If it wouldn't be anusa versus anasusa.
Right, that's what I was just thinking about myself.
Yeah, this sigma is not supposed to be there. I'm looking at the original text.
Oh, okay. So
Is that better?
yes, sir. I feel better about it.
Okay. How's that?
Just taking a stab at the dark, but
I was trying to figure out what the word that was too. I didn't realize it had an extra sigma in it. I got it saved. Okay, let's do. We're getting near the end, so let's call a halt to it, and we'll go to the next lesson next week. Which stems of the third declension.
Okay, I got a question on number 8. You can just answer me. Look at number 8 there. Theo, two Theo. What's that? It's a Kai.
Right.
Is that right there? Yeah.
Yeah, I wondered about that too. I think it's an extra.
There's nothing there.
Just Kai.
It's just Kai, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I'm looking at the original book. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Is that more better?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I was playing around with those too, so I just.
Good call, Bobby.
Oh, we got it. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Let's go to the next lesson for next week.
Yes, sir.
We won't finish the book this semester, but we probably will finish it by December. Okay. All right. So we'll just keep moving. And I do go back and go into the files and add stuff like I did tonight, and I still think that's good to do. Okay. All right. Any questions? All right. We'll do lesson 33 next week. Start there and kind of work on that if you would. I'll try to go back through these again and see if there's any mistakes in them. I apologize for that. All right. Okay.
thank you, sir.
Y'all have a great evening.
Thank you. Good night.